She was a fast machine. She kept the motor clean. She was the best damn woman that I want to stop because if I don't stop every few seconds, I'll get copyrighted. So, little pause. Okay. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, it's easy to sing like AC/DC. He's just singing in falsetto. He's just going like, back and black. Have you ever heard someone say that? Well, the types of people who say that are generally people who have never tried to actually cover AC/DC in any serious way. What's up? You're watching the Beats Save the World YouTube channel, and today I want to talk about why it's so hard to actually sing AC/DC songs, to sing them well, okay? Because a lot of people, they make fun of the vocal style of AC/DC. It is a little bit of a character, I guess. Like the singer is kind of playing a character. So people can sometimes make fun of that. But to accurately convey the emotion and the character of the original singers, Bon Scott and Brian Johnson, it's actually very difficult. And many people don't recognize that. They think that if you just sing in falsetto and add a little bit of distortion, that's all there is to singing AC/DC. But that's if you're making fun of them. That's not if you're actually trying to cover the song and make it sound good, okay? Because what happens? If we try to sing a song by AC/DC and we just take falsetto, well, that'll just sound like the Bee Gees. Like, let's say we're singing like, she was a fast machine. So obviously that's out. Well, what if we try to distort the falsetto? Well, it sounds really shrill. It'll sound kind of like this. She was a fast machine. Like, sure, if you're making fun of them, but, like, what if you actually want it to sound good? Like, there's a reason these guys sold so many albums. It's not because they were a caricature. Like, it sounds good, right? So what if you want to actually seriously cover them, or in your own music, you want to have that style? I want to go over kind of the interesting ways in which it's so difficult to sing in this style. Way number one, getting the sound is more difficult than you might think. So as we were saying, the sound of AC/DC, of the vocals, it's not just falsetto or distorted falsetto. If you don't believe me, try singing these songs, okay? Like, record yourself, get a karaoke track, and then try singing the whole song in a raspy falsetto, and it'll probably sound something like this. She was a fast machine. It'll sound like that. I don't want to hurt your ears, okay? What is the actual sound, though? Like, of course, unless you have a similar throat or a similar, shape of your mouth, similar cavities in your head, you're not going to sound exactly like Bon Scott or Brian Johnson. But you can, if you train, get a similar technique to what they're using, and you can kind of sing in the style of them. In my opinion, the sound that they're using is what I would call a distorted mixed voice. So it's where you take kind of a mixed voice, which is like that, which is different from like, yeah. It's different from that, right? It's got a lot more, it's connected, but it's also not just pushing your normal voice up. It's not just like, yeah! It's not that, because if you do that, you're not really going to get the sound. It just sounds very tight, and you're often flat on the note. It just sounds too pushed. It doesn't sound cool and casual, right? Like AC/DC does. So, in my opinion, the sound that they use is you take a mixed voice and then you kind of distort that. So like this. You take that, but then a bit more. Yeah, whoa. Kind of similar to Guns N' Roses, but maybe just with a bit less of the like upper head resonance, a bit less of the of that sound, but more of like a bit lower in the mouth. Like maybe if Guns N' Roses kind of feels like it's in the front of my face, like I'm not imitating Guns N' Roses. I'm just showing that specific resonance, okay? If that's more in the front of the face, AC/DC is maybe just a bit less and maybe just a bit lower in the head, okay? But it is a similar sound because both Guns N' Roses and AC/DC rely on that kind of distorted mixed voice. So to learn this sound, you have to first kind of learn your mixed voice to be able to go like, oh, and then to be able to kind of lean into it and distort it. Yeah, whoa, to get that kind of sound. Now, here's the second reason, though, why it's so hard to sing like them. Once you've gotten that sound, you may find that you're using too much energy. Because to get your mixed voice to break up, you may be pushing more and more air. And then by doing that, though, you may not have the endurance required. In my opinion, Brian Johnson and Bon Scott, they both excel in their endurance, in their ability to sing line after line in this pretty demanding sound, and they never get tired. Like, listen to the song You Shook Me All Night Long, where Brian Johnson is singing. Like, try to sing that song from start to finish. There's never a break, you know? It's just like da 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 da. There's no point to take a breath. There are even fewer breaths than like a Led Zeppelin song. So even once you find the sound of like the distorted kind of mixed voice, you still need to make it throughout the whole song. So how do you do that? I've kind of gotten slightly better at making it through this whole song lately, and I want to share what I've learned. To me, once you have the sound of like the distorted, she was a fast, that kind of sound, right? Once you have that, and I'm not saying I sound exactly like them. I have a different throat, different cavities, so I'm going to have my own voice, right? It's good. It's good to have your own voice. Once you have that sound, you have to focus on using the least amount of energy possible, because you can tell if you're using a lot of energy because like down here, like around your like pelvic muscles, if you're really like pushing like that, like if you're really tensing your abs, what that does is that sends a lot of air at your vocal cords, and then your vocal cords will resist that air. So that's like this. If I'm going like, yeah, I'm pushing by tensing my abs, but it doesn't sound breathy because the vocal cords are resisting that air. But the more you tense here and push at your vocal cords, you're kind of tiring your voice muscles because they have to resist all that air. And that gives you a cool sound. Like in recordings, it can be really cool to use that sound where you're really tensing your abs and you're going like, yeah, yeah, yeah. That kind of bigger sound, definitely. But what people mistake when you're singing AC/DC is that you can't get through a whole song like that. So what I like to think of when I'm trying to sing an AC/DC song is I like to try to honestly see how quiet I can get it without losing the sound. Because you're not really practicing it if you sing it like, she was a fast man. If you sing it like that, you've lost the sound. So like that's too little energy. But just see how little. Again, if you're like really tensing your abs like that, you may get a cool sound. But it's just that it's going to tire out your voice, and you may find you're not able to make it to the end of the song. So see how little, you can still tense your abs a little bit, it helps you get the sound, but see how little you can do and how little volume you can have without losing the sound. So as a demonstration, this is me trying to do it as quiet as I can. I'm even exaggerating it a little bit, okay? So like, she was a fast machine, she kept the motor clean, she was the best damn woman that I want to stop because if I don't stop every few seconds, I'll get copyrighted. So, little pause. Okay. Best damn woman that I've ever seen. She had the signs, telling me no lies. Right? The way you get through the song is by just getting it quieter. Again, if I sang it with the whole song with way more force, like, she was a fast machine, she kept... You know, that may be a cool sound if you do a lot of takes in the studio and everything, but you're not going to get through the whole song like that. It's just too long. You have to pare it down, right? Use less air, and by using less air, you can tell because you're kind of pushing down with less force, okay? Like when you're going, that's pushing air, and then your vocal cords are resisting that air, okay? So use less force, try not to tense your abs too much, and get the sound a bit quieter. She was a fast machine, she kept the motor. Like that, right? In general, because your vocal cords are resisting less air, the quieter you can get it without losing the sound, the more endurance you'll have. So you're trading volume and power for more endurance. And that's kind of what you have to do when you're singing AC/DC. Now, one more tip I would have with regards to that of like how to get your sound more relaxed and like to be able to use less energy, which will give you more endurance, is also be aware of where your jaw is pointed. Because if you're singing this and your jaw is tilting up, you might be trying too much to get mouth resonance, like to get the sound resonating here, and that tends to be more exhausting. Like try singing it, make sure your jaw is honestly maybe even a little bit tilted down, although that's harder. Just make sure you're not tilted up when you're singing it, because like this kind of position, to maintain that, you probably have to use more air and more force when it's like this. It might give you a bigger sound, but you're losing that kind of resonance that really helps with the endurance. Like when you're doing long phrases, when you're doing live shows, you want that upper head resonance, okay? So be aware of your jaw positioning, make sure you're not tilting upward, and then be aware of how much you're tensing your neck. Like if you're like this, that's also using more energy, and you might need to do it a little bit, but try to minimize that because that will definitely kill your endurance. I think that's really all I had to say about my tips for singing AC/DC and why it's so difficult. Let me know what you thought below. Leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day. Talk to you next time.